Okay, we are live. ¿Qué tal, amigo? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with this evening's live stream, 7:40 p.m. today. Start time, the 31st of August, the last day of the month. And of course, Spain's tourist season starts to wind down. I think that would be the general consensus when the month of August finishes. People getting back to their jobs, back to their schools and things like that. And of course, the holiday season winding down. But we'll see if the high tourist numbers continue this year or not. Now, we're going to be looking at some of the main stories that have caught my attention in the press today. Some comments that have been left on the channel in recent times by viewers also, and some chat activity. We'll go into the live chat and see what is happening there amongst the viewers that are watching this evening. So if that is your case, say hello in the live chat. Now, straight into the news and the headline of today's live stream. As we can see here, extreme heat, record wildfires and overheated Mediterranean trap Spain in climate emergency. Spain's meteorological summer ends with a stark warning. The country remains caught in a deepening climate emergency. Extreme heat has driven a devastating wave of wildfires, already burning around 400,000 hectares, according to the EU's Copernicus fire monitoring system. 8 people have died fighting the flames, while local economies and wildlife habitats have suffered immense damage. Early estimates suggest 2025 could surpass 2022, previously the worst wildfire year in 3 decades. Both summers were classified by AEMET as extremely hot, ranking as the hottest in Spain since records began in 1961. The overheated Mediterranean adds further concern. Scientists warn its stored energy could fuel violent storms and torrential autumn rains, recalling last year's destructive Gota Fria. With rising temperatures, prolonged drought and extreme weather, experts say Spain faces a new normal where climate-driven crises increasingly shape daily life and demand urgent policy action. So there we go. That is the weather situation currently in Spain. Extreme heat, record wildfires, and of course the overheated Mediterranean, which many people are predicting is going to cause problems come the autumn months this year, as it did last year with the Dana storms, the destruction of those Dana storms last year around the end of October, I think it was. And we've already had a taste of some Danas earlier in the season this year, and the heavy downpours that can come. And the fires, of course, which have devastated Spain for the last month or so, apparently now under control. That is what the Civil Protection Agency here in Spain is saying, that the majority of the wildfires that have wreaked havoc on parts of Spain in recent times now under control, which is good news. And hopefully no more will flare up in the final days of the warm weather. But as we saw there, the meteorological summer coming to an end today, of course, and meteorological autumn starting tomorrow. So we'll see what the weather has in store for us this autumn. And as we saw there, could be worrying. Don't want to set off the alarm bells just yet, but of course previous years we have seen these very heavy rains, destructive storms that have hit parts of the Mediterranean. So fingers crossed this year we don't get a repeat of last year's Dana storms. Second piece of news, and bad news for politicians in Spain, because Spaniards have given them a fail over the wildfire crisis. Spaniards have overwhelmingly failed their political leaders for their handling of this summer's devastating wildfires, according to a Sigma DOS poll for newspaper El Mundo. Both the central government and regional administrations are judged harshly, with the public criticising both prevention and response. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez's government receives the lowest score with 4.2 out of 10, while regional governments, mainly under the Partido Popular, fare little better at 4.6. Local councils are the only authorities to pass with a score of 5.5. The survey highlights widespread discontent that transcends political divides, though respondents blame respondents blame is influenced by partisan leanings. In stark contrast, emergency workers receive near universal praise. Forest fighters score 8.6, the Military Emergencies Unit, the UME, 8.3, and both the Civil Guard and Civil Protection, 7.6. The results underline a sharp disconnect between public authorities and frontline responders, with citizens clearly siding with the latter. So there we go, Spaniards giving a fail grade or a failing grade for the political response to the wildfires, which, as I mentioned a minute or so ago, have devastated the country over the last month or so. Not the same when it comes to the people fighting the fires, of course. Good public opinion there, but politicians, central government especially, and also those autonomous community governments failing when it comes to their handling of these disasters. And not the first time, because I'm sure that if we saw a similar poll for the flooding disasters last year, we would get the same response of a fail mark for politicians in this country. So quite clear what they have to do: stop worrying about themselves and start putting people first and getting solutions, and get solutions to the disasters quicker. Obviously, the disasters are what they are, and they are difficult to respond to, but resources are the key, and stop kicking the can down the road would be my advice if anyone's listening. I don't think they would be, but if they are listening at the top, stop kicking the can down the road. That would be my advice. Third piece of news here, and the United States has warned Spain that 2% defence spending is not enough and demands 5% by 2035. The United States has warned Spain that meeting NATO's historic 2% defence spending threshold will not be sufficient, insisting allies must reach 5% of GDP by 2035 or face serious consequences. A US State Department spokesperson praised Spain's progress after NATO confirmed it had achieved 2% for the first time in 2025, a 43% increase in spending compared to 2024, but said more must be done. Washington stressed this shift was driven by President Donald Trump's pressure on allies. Trump himself singled out Spain at June's NATO summit, warning it may have to pay double if it fails to comply. NATO members agreed in June to raise spending from the 2% set in 2014 to 5% amid the continuing war in Ukraine and Russian aggression. Spain, however, remains among the countries allocating the lower share of GDP to defence, despite the milestone. So tough words from the United States, or the spokesperson for that government there. Spain not spending enough and needs to pay more. More must be done, the quote taken from this article. So Washington not happy, well, happy as we saw with Spain's increase to 2%, but they want more. They want Spain squeezed more when it comes to defence spending, 5%, like other countries are also saying that they will contribute to that defence organisation, because hostilities continue in parts of Europe, of course, and that's the big worry. So will Spain get to 5%? Not with the current government. No way, Jose, as they say. It won't be happening with Pedro Sanchez and company, because he hasn't got the support in his coalition government, and also with the social partners, as he likes to call them, all of the different political groups around Spain who support Pedro Sanchez, hasn't got that support. So we're not going to be seeing a 5% increase, I don't think, if Pedro Sanchez continues in government. But we'll have elections next year, I think. Is it 2027 elections here in Spain? So we could see a change at the top, and that could change everything as far as defence is concerned, or maybe not. Time will tell. Time will tell, as I always say. And the safest place in Spain, the safest autonomous community in Spain, has been named, and apparently it's Extremadura, and it remains as Spain's safest region, despite a rise in crime. Extremadura continues to hold the title of Spain's safest region, though crime has risen by 3.8% in the first half of 2025 compared with the same period in 2024. According to the Interior Ministry's latest crime balance, 17,901 offences were recorded between January and June, the majority linked to conventional crime, which fell slightly by 0.2%. However, cybercrime soared by 16.7%. The region's crime rate stands at 33.5 offences per 1,000 inhabitants, well below the national average of 50.3, though up slightly from last year. Most cases, 13,107, were conventional crimes, representing nearly three-quarters of the total. Homicides rose from 3 to 5, up 66.7%, while attempted killings fell 23.1% to 10. Robberies with violence, 166, increased 16%. Vehicle thefts, 91, rose 11%, and assaults and fights, 217, climbed 12.4%. No kidnappings were reported, compared to one case in the same period of 2024. So, Extremadura, Spain's safest region for the second year in a row, I think, or maybe even longer, but the report that we see here, second time that it has been in the last couple of years, and that is despite a rise in crime this year from January to June. We saw the crimes there that are on the rise. Cybercrime, the big crime that is on the rise, and very, very difficult to stop these cyber crimes because they come from outside the Spanish borders, and authorities here have a lot of trouble trying to deal with these cyber criminals, as we know. Not only here in Spain, of course, around the world, but it is the reality nowadays. So that's what we're dealing with. And it'd be interesting to see what the other regions in Spain or autonomous communities in Spain, or how they fare as far as crime statistics are concerned. So I might see if I can look into that for Tuesday and get the rest of the country on the map. People interested in knowing where Extremadura is here in Spain. Here is the map. We can see there, just to the west or southwest of Madrid, let's say, Extremadura. Two provinces, Extremadura, in Extremadura, Cáceres and Badajoz. So that's the area of Spain with the most favourable crime statistics, according to Spain's Interior Ministry, who have all that data. Now let's have a look at some comments that have been left on the channel in recent times. Firstly, we'll look at this one here from, let me see, Marco. How fires start is important, but more so inability to put them out because of hotter, longer and drier weather, leading to more fires out of control. Thanks, Marco, and I think the first article that we saw today would back up your words here. Hotter, longer and drier weather leading to more fires out of control, and very, very difficult to point out if you listen to put out. Sorry, if you listen to the experts that deal with fires, the firefighters in the country, saying that I think they're called something like a sixth generation fire. They rage at extreme heats, spread very fast, and very, very difficult to put out. But we see what happens after these tragedies occur. There's a lot of political blame going on, a lot of people going around with the expression that you put out fires in the winter, not the summer. That's the common expression that you'll hear people saying nowadays, and a lot of people blaming ecology management or ecological management, some of the autonomous communities, but again, that's all rumor, I believe, and we'll have to wait and see until proper investigations take place, if they ever do, to try to get to the bottom of the intensity, the ferocity of the fires this year in Spain in 3 or 4 main regions, basically Galicia in the northwest, Extremadura that we just saw, and Castilla y León, which is wedged in between those two autonomous communities, Castilla and León. Thanks, Marco, for the comment. Another one here from Bistro B Music. The Peace Index rankings that you hear about from time to time have defense spending as a major component. Countries that try to hit 5% of GDP will see huge drops in their Peace Index. Sometimes this is used as a selling point to prospective expats. Thanks, Bistro, for the comment there. The Peace Index. I've never heard of the Peace Index. I don't think. I might have heard of it, but I can't remember. I can't recall the Peace Index, and if it is an important point or an important selling point for people looking to move countries, potential new foreign residents here, or expats, as some people like to call them. Spain has said that no, we're not going to spend 5% of GDP despite the threats from Washington and Donald Trump, who has, as we saw previously, has expressed his opinion on Spain's contributions to NATO. So I don't know if that is an important factor when people come to when it comes to people choosing which country to live in. But thanks for pointing it out, and I'm sure that if Spain doesn't hit the 5% target, it won't change on that Peace Index. We will see. Another one here from Kim. Immigration is very difficult to stop, but extremely sad for these people. Thanks, Kim, for the comment. Yes, immigration is very, very difficult to stop. We saw an article the other day that a crime network was broken up or dismantled by the Civil Guard here in Spain, a migrant network bringing people from Algeria in the north of Africa to the Balearic Islands, Mallorca primarily, I think, and people paying, if I remember correctly, up to $7,000 or 7,000 euros for their trip to Spain on one of these boats that had been bought and made especially to bring people illegally to countries like Spain. And as Kim points out there, if I can find it, very difficult to stop. I would say extremely difficult to stop. And also very, very sad for the people involved, because they're paying money, desperate to get out of their home countries for whatever the reason, whether it's political persecution, whether there's something else going on there, whether they're looking to improve the life for their family members, coming up with the cash, and of course getting into a country illegally, and then having to go through the process to try and become a legal citizen, which is not always easy for many, and living a life in a country where you don't have any rights also must be extremely frustrating. But of course, people desperate to move to a place that they perceive to be better than where they come from, of course. One here from M. Coelho. The source of the mussels is called escabeche. Other countries, mainly Korea, have been trying for decades to duplicate it, but haven't succeeded yet. In fact, they've even sent spies to see how it's done, but it's well protected. That is why Spanish mejillones or mussels are so tasty, unlike other origins. Thanks, M. Coelho. Yes, escabeche is the name of the liquid that a lot of tinned products come in, especially mussels in escabeche. You can also get other fish in escabeche as well, maybe olives as well, I don't know, but it is a common substance in that canned food, which I did a video the other day on different types of canned food, and I think the mussels were the only product that came in that escabeche, brine, if you like, a type of brine that preserves the mussels, and it is very, very tasty, I will say, especially when you put it on top of a potato chip or a crisp or whatever you want to call them. Very, very tasty, yes, as were all of the products that I tried the other day, by the way. And if you're here in Spain and you want to try something different, have a snack with a beer or a drink just before you have dinner or your lunch, canned, why not? Different types of seafood crammed into a can. Tasty. Michael, are these products available all over Spain and in every supermarket? Thanks. I think basically, Michael, I would say that yes, that is true. These products are available all over Spain in the majority of supermarkets, I would say. The supermarket that I went to buy the products that I used in the video the other day was it's one of the biggest supermarkets here with the most extensive range of products. It is the Carrefour or Carrefour or whatever you want to call it, a French supermarket brand, but very established here in Spain, and they have their own brand called de nuestra tierra, which means from our lands, or local products, or whatever you want to say. And but if you go to your Mercadona, you're going to find the same type of products, albeit with different brands, and maybe not as extensive, because Mercadona is not famous for having a lot of range, whereas Carrefour is. But other supermarkets, you'll find that on the shelves. Nowadays, a lot of the supermarkets will have these products in a security box, because we're talking about quite an expensive product, a delicacy. When we're talking about these big plump mussels, for example, they'll come with a security box surrounding it, and because we're paying, sometimes 6, 7, 8 euros for a canned good, and very easy for someone to slip into the pocket and out they go. So that's the reason why there is added security to products like this, because of the high price, and I suppose the easiness of just putting it into your pocket and walking out the door with the luxury product in your pocket. So that's what we're dealing with here also. Thanks for the comment. And the final one here from Walter. Hola Stu, your Spanish is better than my English, así que no te preocupes. Thanks, Walter. Walter's saying that my Spanish is better than his English there, of course, and I shouldn't worry about people criticizing my Spanish. To be honest, Walter, I don't. It's all part of the YouTube game. You say something and people criticize it. It's the way this platform works, as most social platforms do. The majority of the comments are positive, of course, don't get me wrong. But the negative comments from people that just have sad lives, basically, and have nothing else to do but become keyboard warriors and try to change the world through their nasty comments, looking to insult people at whatever opportunity they have. They wouldn't do it in the street. They'd probably do it in their cars when they're in an enclosed space. No one can hear them. Probably mumble under their breath quite often as well. And YouTube and other social network platforms have become a breeding ground for this type of thing. Not referring to you, of course, Walter. Your comment is positive, but the people that have criticized my Espanol in the past. And what I normally say to them is, vete a tomar por el culo, hombre. That's what I normally say to them. But anyway, life goes on for the rest of us. Now, we're going to go into the live chat, see what has been happening in the live chat since I've been rambling away here for the last 22 minutes. Before I get there, I have to change the backdrop picture. This photo was sent in by Stephen, who was recently in Estepona, and this looks to be the main strip in that coastal town down there in Andalusia, Malaga province. Estepona, very popular destination for foreign people looking to reside in Spain, I will say. The amount of emails that I have received of people saying they're moving to Estepona, or they have a house in Estepona, because it has a lot of pros, let's say, when it comes to foreign living. Primarily the weather, as we can see there, those sunny skies and that Malaga Mediterranean climate, which is a big draw card for a lot of people. If you've got a similar picture you would like to see on the backdrop, the email address is on the screen now, spainspeaks@gmail.com. Feel free to send your photos through to that email address, spainspeaks@gmail.com, or any other information that you would like to send my way. Articles, for example. Erica in recent times has been sending me some articles. Thanks for that, Erica. Appreciate it. And any other information that you would like to send my way, that is the email address. Let me de-blur the photo. All we can see is a plant and a car, but it's better than nothing. Now, I need to put some other things on the screen. For example, the like icon. If you haven't hit the like icon yet, please do so. We're currently sitting at 57 likes. We might get a decent tally today if you hit that like icon, wherever it is on the device that you're watching, whether it's on your phone or whether it's on the TV. 50% of people now watching on TVs, according to my statistics. So the smart TV and the YouTube app taking over. taking over. Interesting. So hit the like icon if you can. Also, people that have supported the channel in recent times, people that have bought me a coffee, for example, people that have given me a super thanks or a super chat here on the live streams. Thank you very much for that support. Longer term supporters on the Patreon, thank you very much also for that. We had a new Patreon jump on board the other day. I'll just find the person's name. I should know it, but I don't have it off the top of my head here. Let me see if I can find it. I'm having some trouble finding this email here. Let me see. Dana was the person that recently became a Patreon. Thank you very much for that support on that platform, Dana. Greatly appreciated, as I said. And also the channel members of this YouTube channel. We've had a couple more members jump on board in recent times. I'll find those names as well if you give me one momento. Let me see if I can find it here. Let me just open a few tabs up. Here we go. Greg has joined as a channel member. And also Loy. Thank you very much, Loy, for that. And Loy sent me a few emails over the last couple of days as well, getting in touch that way too. Thanks, guys, for that support. Now, what else do I need to do? That's about it, I think. Time for the live chat. Let's open it up here. Let me scroll up to the top. Not a lot going on in the chat. Been a bit quiet, the chat, in recent times. So I don't know whether people are shy. Don't know. John, certainly not. High Flyers, 1965. Hope the weekend is going well. Early flight home from New Zante tomorrow. We'll catch up later. Have a great week. John, thank you very much, John, for that. Janet, valued member, as was John in the chat here, coming in from Oxford in the United Kingdom, of course. Renan is in the chat, coming in from a hot Los Angeles, California. Thanks for that, Renan. Al, valued member, also in San Diego, California. Also, 28 degrees there. Hoping everyone is well. Recovering from cataract surgery last week, now back to 2020. Thanks for that, Al. Speedy recovery. Good to see. Gigi is in the chat, coming in from Arizona, the Camino de Santiago expert. Gigi. Missed the recent live chats, but caught the recorded episodes. Thanks for posting. No worries, Gigi. It goes up automatically on YouTube. The live broadcasts become permanent content on the platform, of course. Valued member Stephen, hoping that the weekend has been a good one. Watching from a mild and breezy North London. Looking forward to getting back to Torrevieja on Tuesday. Love September weather. Less crowded, yes. I think that will be the case come September. Stephen, I'm also looking forward to maybe getting out and about in the month of September, visiting some places, recording a few videos without the crowds. I just have to decide where to go. Janet had cataract surgery during lockdown. Revelation. Colours became vivid again. Went from minus 17 to 2020. There we go. Cataract surgery. Barbara's in the chat also, coming in from the Playa Flamenca. 32 degrees there. I'll take that. Barbara, 32. Absolutely. America's saying hello to John. Not sure who John is exactly. Maybe the first person that left a comment. John, don't know. But anyway, John, thanks for that. Kev is in the chat here, coming in from Murcia. Hope everyone is well and happy, says Kev, just down the ladder to catch the live show. Thanks, Kev, for tuning in. Careful on those ladders. People have come a cropper on the old ladder over the journey. Fabian, many of the fires have criminal origins in Spain, just like in France. Again, Fabian, there has been arson involved. If that's the criminal origin that you are referring to, I imagine that is the case. There's a lot of disinformation, if that's the word, or misinformation, if you like, if that's the word also, not sure, about some of the possible causes or reasons why these fires have been lit. People saying that it's for to reclassify the land for building purposes, but it's not the case. Firstly, because there's a law in place here in Spain where land affected by fire, there's a 30-year period before you can reclassify it. So that's not a reason. And also, a lot of the fires have been in parts of the country where there's no requirement for development. No one wants to move to parts of the country where these fires have been occurring. So, arson has been an issue, but the exact reasons we don't know, other than maybe some type of personal gain. But I don't think as I said, there's no building reasons behind it, we don't think. Doughty is this. Digital nomads. Have you met any, and how do the locals take to them? Would love to hear your opinion. Thanks for your hard work. Thanks, Doughty, is it? I think that's the pronunciation there. Have I met digital nomads? I've come across a few in my journeys. It depends where the digital nomads are as to how they are treated. And of course, the numbers of digital nomads. In some parts of Spain, especially places like Barcelona, there's a lot of digital nomads have moved to that city, for example. They consider it to be a very attractive city. I know in Portugal, Lisbon has had a lot of digital nomads move there, of course, with the tax benefits that they receive. And here in Spain, different parts of the Mediterranean, no doubt, getting their fair share of the digital nomad. How do the locals take to them? I don't think there's been too much backlash yet. Portugal, there has been backlash, but in Spain, not so much, I don't think. It's more of an anti-tourist thing rather than anti-digital nomad, but stay tuned. You never know what's going to happen in a couple of years if it becomes too much of an issue for the local communities, because digital nomads tend to come in with more spending power, more cash in their pocket, more dough, more moolah, more bucks in their back pocket than the locals. And sometimes places change as a result. You get these trendy cafes popping up where the typical Spanish person who's used to paying €1.50 for their coffee all of a sudden has to pay €3 or €4 for their coffee because it has almond milk in it, or oat milk, or soy. And that's happening. But not too much backlash yet, I don't think. Gillian is in the chat here, coming in from Torrevieja, where Bob is currently a resident. Sorry to hear that, Gillian. Hope Bob is well. Bob sent me an email, I think, a couple of weeks ago. So let's hope Bob has a fast recovery from the Torrevieja hospital and also gets good treatment down there. I imagine that will be the case. Fernando, I was a study abroad student. Have you ever thought of making some videos for students who are studying abroad, such as food from grocery stores, places for tapas, places to visit, etc.? Haven't thought of it, Fernando, but thanks for the ideas. I'll just put them at the back of the list there and get around one day to doing it. But good option, good choices there. Videos for students who are studying abroad. Because the idea would be to find some economical eats, I imagine. Gillian also saying had a cataract operation in Torrevieja earlier this year. We're lucky to have the hospital where we always have those operations there in Torrevieja. Thanks, Gillian. As I said, hope Bob gets well soon. Johnny coming in from A Coruña. On-off showers with bumpy seas as we leave for Portugal. Johnny travelling around Spain currently. Hope you guys have a great time, Johnny. I think Johnny was in Bilbao, was it, Johnny, that you mentioned the other day in an email? I think it was. Al saying that there's a 3-day holiday weekend in the US which signifies the end of summer. Thanks, Al. The end of summer, yes. It's been a hot one. So I always be glad to see the end of summer. I always like it to come. I'm always glad to see the end of it. Don't know whether it's just me. Bronny's in the chat here too. Starting to feel a touch of autumn here in South Wales, UK. Definitely beginning to notice the nights drawing in. 17 currently. Sunny but windy. Best wishes, Bronny. Thanks, Bronny. Yes. I noticed the touch of autumn here as well. Especially with the sun. Larry coming in from Tazacorte, La Palma. Good to see you, Larry. Ramon. Hola, ¿qué tal? Greetings from Central Texas, United States. Interesting topics today. Keep up the good work and keep the videos coming. Thanks, Ramon. I will. Keep them coming. From Central Texas, USA. Neil coming in from Estepona. Good to see you, Neil. Neil, of course, regular viewer of the videos. As is Alma, coming in from Benihofar. Sunny, but a bit windy. Yeah, I think it's been windy in many parts of Spain today. Here especially. Very windy here in the centre of the country. Very dry wind, of course. Amanda coming in a bit late today. Hoping we all have a good week. Thanks for that, Amanda. Good to see you. JAL, pointing out that Extremadura is also the least populated region of Spain, as well as one of the poorest. Yes, JAL, that is JAL, I should say. That is true, I believe. It is a region with a smaller population, of course, for the size, and poorest. Probably it would be in the bottom 10 or the top 10 poorest regions in Spain, or the bottom if you're looking at the other way around. You know what I mean, right? I reckon that would be the case. But I always enjoy the time that I spend in Extremadura, the times that I go there, which is quite frequently, because to get to Portugal, that's how we get to... That's where we need to go, through Extremadura. So I always try to stop off somewhere if I can over the years. Kev saying, with tens of thousands of transactions, a second at an average organisation, and a creativity of attackers, tools to analyse logs and AI is becoming more important to defeat cybercrime, but lots of dollars. Yes, Kev. But I imagine that the AI would also help cybercrime as well. Especially when it comes to translations and things like that, because a lot of the time I get spam emails from people and the English is not very good, even though they pretend to be somebody from the United States or from England or wherever they planning to come from. Sometimes the old Inglés no es bueno. So it looks a bit dodgy, that's it. Johnny saying, sketchy internet where they are. Catch up later. Have a great week. Thanks, Johnny. Yeah. Sometimes when you're travelling around Spain, the internet can let you down. Especially hotel internet. Kev saying that his mother put him off seafood for life, making faces and horrible noises when his dad used to eat it. Just can't get over that, sadly. Yeah, it's a shame, Kev, because... I do enjoy seafood every now and again. Of course, my wallet doesn't allow me to indulge all that often in seafood, unfortunately. But when I can, I do. Shelby, retired American in Alicante, moved from the US to Spain because of extreme politics, high living costs, and growing racism. Life here is better, slower pace, stronger family culture, and more. Thanks, Shelby. Yep, I'm under the impression that a lot of people, or at least the Spanish press is saying that a lot of people from the United States have decided to make Spain their home for whatever the reasons, whether it's some of the things that you mentioned here or people just looking for a sea change or a tree change, as some people call it nowadays. Billy coming in as well from Ireland, where the weather is damp and miserable. And I think your Spanish is very good. Thanks, Billy, for that. I try to speak decent Spanish. Raymond or Ramon just joined as a Patreon member. Thanks, Ramon, for that. Great to have you on board the Patreon. I'm looking to put more content out on Patreon as well. I did something today there, so check that out. But thanks for jumping on the Patreon as a supporter or a patron. Land Bright is this, or Ian, whatever, I can't really work it out. Land, or is it an I? Ola Stew, there was a definite point when your Spanish clicked, or was it a steady improvement? There was a click. There was a click, a definite click. It was a long time ago, but I remember the click. I remember struggling for, well, I used the word struggle. It wasn't easy at first, trying to pick up everything and understand. But as soon as I started to understand my own language, that is the English language, and tried to work out the differences and how to remember all of the Spanish, there was a definite click. I think it came after. Let me see if I can remember. I think it came after a trip to Spain. I'd been studying, and then I came to Spain for a period, and then I went back, and there was a definite improvement. So, yeah. But all I did for the month and a half when I was here was just read newspapers and listen to the television. I think that helped a lot. What else? Let's have a look. Ramon saying, how hard was it to get my driver's license in Spain? It wasn't easy, Ramon. I'm going to say I had to go through the driving school system, which is an unofficial mafia organization here in Spain. The driving school system, they've got something going on there, and basically they a lot of these driving schools just extort people and just ching basically. The system's also very convoluted. It's a very convoluted, difficult test. The questions it's not common sense. It's just learning a manual and making sure that you know the exact questions. For example, when I did my Australian driver's license many years ago, it was a lot more, let's say, common sense. I remember one of the questions that I sometimes point out to people, Ramon, is that if you're driving through roadworks on the freeway or the motorway, what should you do? And I think in some tests it's like you have three choices. One would be slow down to the signaled speed, step on the accelerator and get out of there as fast as possible, or wind up the window so that no debris gets inside your car. Simple, right? A. Whereas here in Spain, the same question would be slow down to 60 kilometers an hour, slow down to 50 kilometers an hour, or slow down to 45 kilometers an hour. So there's no common sense. It's just you have to study a book this thick. And that's what people do. They memorize 1,000 questions and hope that they remember the 30 that are presented on the day. And that's the way it works. That's the way it works. Billy's saying, Stuart, I blame the wildfires and those Australian undocumented invaders. And on the undocumented invaders, many eucalyptus trees. Thanks, Billy. That could be one of the reasons, of course, the famous eucalyptus tree, which always gets negative press, especially when the wildfires roll around. Dave's in the chat, coming in from Florida. Thanks for the latest efforts to keep us informed. No worries, Dave. You are welcome. What gets lost in reporting is the loss of wildlife, due to the fires. Absolutely, Alma. That is true. That is true. Dave also saying that finding an apartment to rent in and securing a lease is one of the biggest challenges for exchange students in Madrid. I imagine that to be the case, Dave. Very, very difficult to get a place to rent nowadays. It's not only for the cost, but also the supply and demand issues. Jen's watching. Happy to catch the live stream, considering I never catch it being on the west coast of the US. Thanks for that. Good to see you, Jen. Joe is in the chat, coming in from Lanzarote. Obviously, one of the islands down there in the Canaries. Thanks, Joe. I met Joe when I was there a few months ago. Lovely person, of course, is Joe. YouTubers coming in from Torrevieja. I thought we were in the poorest area. Extremadura must be really bad. I think Torrevieja would be luxury compared to some parts of Extremadura. The region that a lot of Spain has forgotten. Extremadura. Jen's husband is leaving, and Jen, of course, leaving for 3 weeks tomorrow. So happy to be back in Spain. 2 nights in Bilbao, 3 nights in Llanes, and then the rest in Cáceres. Speaking of Extremadura, Cáceres. Thanks for that. Janet read a book. I hope all goes well. Sorry, Jen, with your trip. Janet read a book by Miguel Delibes about Extremadura in the 1960s. Buñuel also made a film about poverty in the area. Yeah, the 60s were a tough time for many parts of Spain, of course, but Extremadura is one of those areas that still has that rural touch to it. The AI helps with the situations that I hadn't dreamt up the attackers would use. The rest of it is the likes of me trying to write the rules to link the and test activity. Thanks for that, Kev. Anna Idis, love this YouTuber. Thanks, Anna, for that. For the positive comment. Bronny's saying, I need to feel that click with Bronny's Spanish. It'll come, Bronny. It's just a question of getting it all together. Getting it all worked out in your head, I think. And the pronunciation also as well. Shelby, been waiting months for the practical test. No appointments until January 2026. Yes, Shelby, that's an issue as well. Apparently, there's not enough examiners out there. There's a shortage, and the appointments are backed up all over the country, unfortunately, for people trying to get their driver's license. YouTubers saying several retired American friends on Social Security moved to Spain because they can't afford their home country. One couldn't meet the Spanish requirements and moved to Bulgaria. There we go. Yes, Spanish requirements can be stiff. That is true. Jose Carlos saying that Spain should withdraw from NATO. If Germany and England want to sink, let them go alone, says Jose Carlos. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people would agree with you there. Many people wouldn't, but a lot of people would. Jose Carlos. Liz just got back to Madrid from a weekend in beautiful Granada. Thanks, Liz. Send through a photo. Paul coming in from Ireland. Will soon be in Palamos. Thanks, Paul, for that. Good luck with your trip. And Kev, we just got our visa renewals this week. No more paperwork in that area for 2 years. Woohoo! Good one, Kev. Good one. Getting the visa renewals. Thank you very much for that. Now, I'm going to wrap the live stream up. It's been a pleasure as always. Back again on Tuesday with some more, hopefully. Hope to see you guys then. Until Tuesday, hasta luego, hasta entonces. Adios, and have a great start to the week. Bye-bye.